Right, I think that might have been a little bit of a dodgy go live there because the intro played out and you probably had an awkward pause from me. But regardless, we're live. My name's Tom, and this is the Golden Goal Fantasy Football Podcast. And I'm very glad to say I'm joined by my mate Sam. How are you doing, mate? How are you getting on?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, I'm not doing it. I'm not pulling down any trees, mate. Especially after having basically triple Germany defence yesterday, as I think a lot of us did, didn't we? With the captain and then two defenders, for them to concede quite heavily, sort of scuppered my plans there. But yeah, still looking forward to the next round. I still know it's quite condensed, and yeah, I think we can make some headway, mate. So yeah, what about you?
Yeah, not too bad. I don't know what your definition of not pulling up trees is. What's your overall rank at the moment?
1600.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'm slightly above you in terms of points, I imagine, but in 996th. So I think we're both genuinely still in a winnable position. Like I feel like the punts we can make in the last 16, etc., you can propel yourself to still a nice rank. I wouldn't be too worried.
Definitely agree.
I've really enjoyed this game, mate. I've got to say, like some of the punts that I've made, like with Jordi Alba, etc., etc. It's just been nice. Yeah, just being able to pick a few punts here and there and have fun with it.
Yeah, it has been really good. Really, really enjoyed it. And said I'm actually looking forward to the knockout stages now. And like you said, if you make those make those calls and you get them right, you're going to fly up the ranks. And so all is definitely not lost. And yeah, there's plenty to play for. I think hence why today will be really useful.
And it's probably going to be one of the questions we cover later on. But have you got any, obviously this video's themed around the last 16 in the Overhaul, which you've only got 12 hours to sort out. I was just wondering, do you have any major thoughts on what you're going to do? What teams you targeting, any players you like, etc., etc.
I'm going to wait for. I've got a rough idea. I think when we bring the graphic up in a bit, that's going to help me. But I'm probably going to go pretty much block defense somewhere along the line. I am going to play. I'm going to really risk it. It doesn't mean I'm going to leave out anyone like a Messi or an Mbappe or anything like that. I just think I'm going to go all in on a certain team and just back them to qualify or whatever. And if they don't, I'm going to just go. I'll go bust. We'll be here next week. I'll be 4K or 5K or whatever it is. But I really don't mind playing that game, Tom. On this now, I'm not bothered about. I said that in the chat, and I'm not bothered about finishing 500th. So that's my initial thinking. Sometimes that sounds good, and then when you start looking at captaincy days and you start penning things together, it starts to look a little bit tougher. But I think my initial thoughts are centered around Argentina, Brazil. I'm even tempted. Why I don't know, but sort of some of the English defenders. That's kind of where my thinking's going. But judged off the World Cup so far, there's going to be some more surprises. And so I think that's going to really kind of basically keep it exciting, essentially, because no one would have expected last night in the way that panned out.
Well, it was mental, wasn't it? It was just a pleasure to watch.
Yeah.
And yeah, just see at one point the demise of Spain because they were going out when Costa Rica scored and then Germany pulled it back and then Spain were through. But Germany, it was mental. Did you think the ball crossed the line, by the way?
Well, I didn't actually. I was playing footy at the time. I was playing six-a-side, so I missed all the games. But I was still getting the ref. Or there's a couple of refs at six-a-side that they had their phone there. They were shouting out the score every 2 minutes. It looks like it went out, didn't it? But it's very, very close.
I think it stayed in. I think
it's justice, Tom.
Huh? It is justice, regardless of what happened. It's justice. Yeah.
And I've seen that flying around, but it is Frank Lampard's goal. We would have still lost to the Germans that day, but Frank Lampard's goal was in by a country mile that day. It was disallowed. And this one was obviously a little bit tighter on the line, but yeah.
Cool. You mentioned we've got a little picture to show you. I have nicked it from FF Scout, so giving full credit to Fantasy Football Scout. But what it does is it's the only graphic I've been able to find on the entire internet that shows exactly how the fixtures will lay out for the knockout stages. One thing it doesn't cover, unfortunately, and I haven't unfortunately had time to prepare for this, but the actual game days that the fixtures are on, it just shows who plays who. But I think if you have a nice coverage of these teams, you'll probably cover yourself for captaincy days.
And it's common sense, right, Tom, that we'll go over best practice here, and then when the teams fill the days, you'll just start penning in the players that you want for captaincy, so it shouldn't make too much of a problem, should it?
So as we said as well, there are still 4 places in these knockout stages to be decided in obviously the 4 games that we've got going on today. So we've got Ghana, Uruguay, Korea, Portugal, Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon and Brazil. Do you have a view of the 4 teams that you'd expect to go through out of that lot?
Are Brazil already through? They are, aren't they?
I think they might already be through, to be fair.
Yeah. Hence the rotation tonight. But what? I mean, let's have a look at that group. Who's going to go through with?
So it's Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, Cameroon in Group G.
Yeah. Who do you think is going to go through though? That's the question with them.
Let's have a Google. Group G. So obviously Brazil, and it looks like they're already through. So I just got to Google the table.
Switzerland are well placed, mate, in second, aren't they?
Yeah.
So Switzerland have got. Who have Switzerland got?
Serbia, yeah.
So it's going to be one of those two. I can't see Cameroon getting anything tonight, even from Brazil, even with a weakened team. Switzerland don't really offer. I just never think they offer very much, do they?
I prefer
to see Serbia go through.
I don't think they do, but I think defensively Switzerland are pretty strong.
Yeah, they are.
Like, I know obviously Brazil did all right against them, but I feel like defensively Switzerland are pretty good. So I think they'll probably go through ahead of Serbia. I know Serbia have got Mitrovic up front, who looked really dangerous in his last game. I don't know. I think Switzerland have got that myself, but it's going to be a close one to call. I don't think I'm dealing in absolutes there.
No, and then it looks like Portugal are through in Group H. They're on 6 points.
Yep.
In fact, they will be through, won't they? Because they've got Portugal got Ghana, haven't they? So if Ghana.
So Portugal are 5 points above.
Portugal have got South Korea, haven't they?
Yeah, and Portugal are 5 points above third place, so that means they're through. Whether they get the favourable fixture or not depends on how they get on against Korea, but I'd back them to get a better result against Korea than Ghana do against Uruguay. I
think Uruguay will win tonight.
I agree.
That's my thinking, but Ghana have proved quite tricky. They score some goals and stuff, so I think that group's fairly open for second place there. I do think Portugal will win the group there. So that basically means we can almost, with Portugal and Brazil, we're all but two teams away from having that complete and utter set, which we'll know later today. Like, I think I'm with you on that, Tom. I think Switzerland will edge it in Group G, and I just have a feeling maybe Ghana might go through in Group H, especially when they're 2 points above Uruguay as well. But obviously that remains to be seen.
Yeah, fair enough. And just looking at the rest of the fixtures as well, you mentioned when you look at this that you had some thoughts on players you wanted in teams you wanted to back, etc. What are your immediate thoughts?
So I think Ecuador, England will be a tough game for England, but I can't see. Sorry, Senegal. My apologies. England, Senegal in the last 16. And I think like Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, John Stones, they've proved really good value in terms of bonus returns. And Maguire's always a threat from set pieces. Luke Shaw seems to play his best football for England, assists and whatnot. So I do like the thought of potentially Maguire and Shaw from England. I think I'm sort of thinking France, obviously Mbappe, Tchouaméni, is that how we pronounce it?
Yeah, Tchouaméni or something like that, yeah.
He's been ticking over pretty nicely, hasn't he, with bonus? I know you were going to mention it today, but he interests me as well. Defensively, I'm not so sure if I'll have any French defenders in there to start with. And other thoughts, Tom, are really Argentina, Brazil, and Spain. I really like the Spanish defenders for like a ridiculous amount of passes, and like Laporte and Alba. Rodri's also a good shout, and he get about 2,550 passes or something in one game yesterday. Brazil have looked solid, and I think Argentina have step loaded, so it didn't start very well, but looked much better against Poland. So I like Otamendi. Even like Enzo Fernandez. Is that what it's called? Enzo
Yeah,
Fernandez?
my current team has Otamendi, Enzo Fernandez, and Rodrigo De Paul in it because they're all seen decent value. Enzo particularly got passing bonus in the game that he played last, as well as obviously scoring. He seems to be on a really good run of form. Otamendi's definitely amongst the passing bonus, and yeah, I think the key thing for me to consider when picking these players is all you need to think about to maximise the fixtures you get out of them is players that make the semi-final. Because once you're in the semi-final, you're in the third and fourth place playoff as well. There might be obviously a bit of rotation in that game, but as soon as your team gets to the semi-final, you know they've got 2 games left.
Yeah, mate, it's really good thinking. And I think if you do want to win this game, unless you're in a really, really good position right now, I know a few of the boys in the chat are in our chat, and there might be some watching right now. You have to just take a risk. There has to be some risks in there. So either double ups, triple ups, and I've seen those sorts of teams floating about. And so you have to make, as you said, you have to look at that graphic and go, right, who do I think is going to end up there? And then if you can marry that with passing bonus, assists, and cleans, you could be looking at cleaning up. I mean, what sort of thoughts have you got on the routes there, Tom? Have you sort of had a look at it?
What would you mean by routes exactly?
Well, who do you think has got a favourable kind of like
Defi-
potential draws there?
Definitely Argentina. I think
Yeah.
looking at Holland and the USA, I think they'll give them a tough game, but I see Argentina at least get into the semis. And for me, that's what
Same.
you need. You need to back a team that will get to the semis because, like I said, once you get to the semis, you'll play 2 extra games. I really like France. I know it's hedging against my team, England, but with an unbiased hat on, if you're going into a game with France as England, I think you'd probably back France to win that. And I think you have to back France in fantasy if you feel that way. I'm trying to take all my bias away from England. I do fancy France and like the likes of Chouameni, Konate. He seems to be their regular starting centre back alongside Varane. He's looking really good for passing bonus. Obviously, Mbappe's lighting up the tournament when he's playing, so he's a really good option. So I really like Argentina and France. Spain, I think their assets are looking ridiculous for passing bonus. Like we said, Rodri beat the record for passing in the World Cup. If they beat Morocco, I at least think they'll get passing bonus against Morocco. Might not keep a clean sheet, but probably beat them. Then they've likely got the winner of Group H, which looks to be Portugal. I think Spain could probably beat Portugal in a quarter-final as well. They just look a better coached and better drilled team. And that means they go through to the semis and play 2 more games. So I like Laporte and Jordi Alba, I think are the 2 outstanding assets from Spain. You know, Jordi Alba gets amongst the passes. I don't know if he's got tackle bonus yet, but he's definitely come close, and he's made 3 assists, I think, for the tournament. And he looks really attacking, and he's had his rest as well. He didn't start match day 3, so yeah, Jordi Alba, Laporte from Spain, then obviously Brazil as well. Those assets are looking really good. I think Marquinhos is probably the outstanding defender, but given knockout stage games are a bit further apart, you probably could go for Thiago Silva, who's a bit cheaper and will probably return the same points. Likewise, like Alexandro as well, I think is pretty good for tackles, and he looks to be their first choice left back. And then I think, who's the best, if you have to, because I think there are going to be game days where you have to captain a Brazil player, who would you say is the strongest Brazil player to captain? I'm a bit put off by Neymar now, I've got to say.
Yeah, with an injury as well. Yeah, I think they've been so defensively resolute as well. Like you could just go with one of their defense centre backs or the full backs. Alisson's a really good shout as well, and you feel like as the competition stiffens up a little bit more for them, that Alisson will, potentially get saves bonus or something along the lines there as well. But then again, Richarlison scored the 2 goals in that first game. I know he didn't score last time. I think there's some tricky decisions with that Brazil team. It's just a bit of luck who you think you're going to go for. Um, it just depends who they're playing, doesn't it? Depends who they've got. I'm trying to look at trying to work out the bracket, mate. Is a bit of maths right here, isn't it? I've got it on small view to
So
see who they will play.
Are you wondering who Brazil play?
So they are going to be the winners of Group G, aren't they?
I
So
mean,
they will play
they will play runners-up of Group H, which you
Group
have
H.
predicted to be Ghana. I think it's going to be Uruguay.
Yeah. I think they beat both teams. I think they beat Uruguay to nil. I think Uruguay, I don't think look fantastically
Going
good
forward anyway, they're
overall.
not they're not great. No.
No, especially with Suarez and Cavani older and whatnot, they haven't got that potency. I still think they're quite resolute at the back. It could be a close game, but I think that they'd win that. So I think going off that question, I think I'd be leaning towards a Brazilian defender if that was going to be the game. I think if it's going to be Ghana, I'd be leaning towards a Brazilian attacker.
Yeah.
But these are the answers that we don't have right now because we don't know the finishing positions.
But
But I
yeah,
think what you made a really good point on Argentina there, Tom. Like you sort of could go all in on Argentina with sort of fours and fives there, couldn't you?
because the
Because like you
thing,
said, I think they're going to get through the next round. They are step loading in terms of performances. That's a very good sign in an international major tournament. And if you get into the semis, then you've got players then to the end of the game.
yeah, and the thing for me is you don't necessarily need to back the team you think are going to win the tournament. You need to back the team you think are going to get to the semi-finals, because at that point they got two more games regardless of what happens. So yeah, I just like Argentina. I think they've got two games that they could win. Whether it be scrappy or not, I think they could easily get past Australia. With the greatest of respect to Australia, they've been brilliant, but I think Argentina would just be too much for them. And then Netherlands and USA, whilst the USA have looked really athletic and energetic, I just think Argentina have the edge on quality, and the same with the Netherlands as well. In fact, I think see America actually beating the Netherlands, to be honest.
Yeah, I do. That was my prediction. I think they will. There won't be many goals because America aren't overly prolific, but I think they could win it. It might go like extras or pens even or something like that. But I can really fancy an upset there. I
So
think
yeah, I think, and the thing is with the Argentina assets as well, as we mentioned, Enzo Fernandez, Rodri De Paul, and Otamendi. I think Otamendi's a little bit more expensive, but the likes of Enzo Fernandez, they're a bit cheaper than other midfielders as well. And I think they've got a sort of a bit of a backbone of bonus points as well. So I really like those couple of players.
I really like Alexis McAllister as well, Tom. Like he's playing a role there for Argentina that can get goals, and I think he scored last game, didn't he?
Yep.
I think we know those midfield roles are particularly difficult to fill, so it could be like a Tushimini because he's been picking up bonuses, Rodri or something like that if you wanted to go that way, or like double Argentina even, and then like five and then a two. I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing a lot of 5-3-2 templates floating around. I understand why because the upside of five defenders is 50 points, right? Essentially, give or take between seven and give and take between a seven pointer to a 10 pointer, you could be looking at anywhere between 40 and 50 points if you get cleanos. And with the captain, add another sort of 7 to 10 onto that. You could be into the 40 to 60 ranges, which is a really, really nice kind of return, isn't it, if you get it right? So I understand why there's a lot of that floating around. I think that's the way I'm potentially going.
Sounds good. So it looks like just in terms of fixtures as well, again, we're playing sort of 4D chess trying to predict who's going to get through. But Ben, I'll read through some of the comments in a second as well, chaps. But Ben has just said each corner of this graphic is the match days for the last 16. So I'm just looking at the Sky fixtures now, and I think Ben's absolutely right. So Group A and Group C, you see on that graphic, the fixtures there is one match day. So Netherlands, USA, Argentina, Australia, that's one match day. The next one, France and Poland, England, Senegal, top right corner, that's another match day.
That'd be Sunday.
Bottom left, Japan, Croatia, and then Brazil, who we predict to win Group G, and then the second place team in Group H, so either Uruguay or Ghana, as we predicted, is one match day. And then the other one is Morocco and Spain, and the winners of Group H and second place in Group G. So, yeah, I think
In that case, do you want to go through the ones we know now and then and go who do you reckon's best captaincy those days then?
Yeah, can do. What I'll do, I'll just switch the view because I don't have the fixtures to hand. But if we talk Saturday,
Cheers
3rd
Ben
of...
for shouting that one out, by the way. That's pretty useful.
Yeah, Saturday, 3rd December, we go Netherlands, USA, Argentina, Australia.
So it's quite a simple one, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm just be on Messi.
Yeah.
And I think It's because I still think we get 3 transfers per game week. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So you could well go full 5 or 6 Argentina defenders in a block. Obviously, you have to slightly predict the lineup because you don't see the teams, and then switch them out for your other captains for the other days.
That's a really nice idea. I know that like a few people made the most of that when we started the game, and I wish I'd have done that with that Ecuador Qatar game. In hindsight, I wish I'd gone like Eno Valencia, two Ecuador defenders, because it was a nailed on cleano, really, wasn't it? And also goals the other end, and then shifted them all on. And like, I know that Liam Dorian did that, and I kind of like, I do regret a little bit. So that's your opportunity, guys. I think it's like no regrets there. Is that's like, of course, it's not nailed on. I mean, Australia have proved surprises already, so it is a risk. But I think that's a really good shout, Tom. Kind of just go ham on Argentina, or Netherlands, or USA, or whatever, and which depends which way you're inclined, and then bail out, moving into Sunday, Monday, whatever it is.
And speaking of Sunday, so that'll be France and Poland against England, with England and Senegal. For me, best captain's probably Mbappe, isn't it? I think there's also a case for going without Harry Kane. I've got to say, if you're not going to captain him on that Sunday, I think maybe you could just hedge on England defence over Harry Kane.
That's what that's exactly what I'm thinking, mate. Like Maguire and Shaw, or Stones, you're surely hoping sort of a couple of 10-pointers, potentially 10-point. I sound really arrogant there, don't I? I don't mean that, because I'm not England's biggest.
No.
I'm not England's biggest. I'm certainly not deluded in the way that, as you know, about my thoughts on England. But I think because the potential that England could keep clean sheet that day. It's no guarantees. I just think Senegal without Sadio Mane is a big loss, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
I think they'll be tough to beat, but I can see that kind of going really tight and potentially no goals, and it might end up at penalties or something like that. I think then, Tom, the thing with that is if you've got if you go all in on Argentina, you lose your moves essentially, don't you, for that week if you then move on. So if England go kind of through, but then they've got France, you've just got to have a little thought about that. Like, do you want like double or triple England versus France?
Exactly.
That's my thinking. And also, I think it's worth noting that Harry Kane in the Euros got much better into the knockout stages.
Yeah, absolutely. And although he hasn't scored yet, he's the leading assister in the World Cup. So he's definitely amongst in the right areas. He's just setting up the goals rather than scoring them. So I still think he's a good option. And obviously he's on the penalties.
Yeah.
And then on Monday, so I mean, we're banking on basically predicting that Brazil are going to win Group G. All right, so if they don't, we're in a bit of trouble. But I think they'll probably win Group G. So that means on Monday it's Japan, Croatia, Brazil against the runners-up of Group H, which makes me think that the best captain is probably a Brazil player.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think Japan will give Croatia a really good game. I think Ivan Perisic has been like really low key good return so far. I think something like 7-8-7.
Yep, 2 clean sheets and 2 assists in the game that he conceded against Canada. So he's been really good.
I think he's a good shout. I just do think Japan will score that day. I think it will. Croatia looked really quite good yesterday again, though, Tom. Like they're doing a bit of an Argentina. Like they're a little bit under the radar. They look pretty solid, and they've been getting better. Like Modric yesterday was like superb. I thought, was watching him, just style of football. It's great to watch. That left centre back, mate, is an absolute. I can't remember his name. Gvardiol or whatever he's called. He's a proper beast, mate. Like super good. Like he defended so well in that second half, and he's got a really nice pass and distribution. And saying that, we do know that Lukaku missed 3 to 4 totally gilt-edged chances, so maybe Croatia against better teams will come unstuck. But I think
Japan have been absolutely clinical with their chances as well. Just to say, they've had scraps in most of the games they've played, and they've taken all their chances.
So I feel that's a difficult one to call, and I'll be steering away from captaincy both for that game from either team probably. Is there anyone from Japan you fancy, or like we haven't really talked about?
I would say, like, I watched the game last night, like everyone. Matoma looked absolutely ludicrous. I thought he was really good, and they stuck him at left wing back as well. I don't think he plays that position for Brighton. I think he's their outstanding player. But again, their goals seem to be spread like quite evenly around their team, so I don't think there's a talisman for Japan. I think that's part of their charm, really, isn't it? Why they're so good. The manager changes things at half time, brings on basically a second team for the second half, and that's why they transform so much. So really, it's hard to nail down a Japanese player, I'd say, as the best captain. I don't think there is one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if it's Uruguay, I'll definitely be thinking towards the Brazil defence. Could be going with a couple of them,
Yeah.
and then sticking the armband that way for that day. That's my initial thinking anyway.
Yeah, I think for Brazil defence, obviously Marquinhos is the most expensive because he's the most nailed. He's going to play every single game for Brazil. But I also think that Thiago Silva is going to be backed as well. He's obviously probably going to get a rest today. He's zero point 0.5 less than Marquinhos, so I think he's probably a good option. And then Alexandro, the left back, in both games he's played against Serbia and Switzerland, he's either got passing or tackles bonus along with a clean sheet. So he's got 2 10-pointers in a row. So I think Alexandro and Thiago Silva are probably worth having in your team and just holding them, to be honest.
Yeah, can't argue with that.
And then the final day, so we got one fixture already scheduled in on Tuesday the 6th. So that's going to be Morocco and Spain. And then the winner of Group H, which we predict to be Portugal against second place in Group G, which will either be Switzerland, Cameroon, or Serbia. So I think I'm going to back some Spanish defenders. I know Morocco have been pretty good scoring goals, but I think I've got to back my guy Jordi Alba for that day. And we get to see the Spain team as well.
I think there's some value in Portugal there as well. I think like Bruno Fernandes, who's been good this tournament. I think there's some value there. Against depending who they face. If it is Switzerland, we know Switzerland maybe aren't the most prolific, but a well oiled sort of defensively. But I could see Portugal winning that kind of 1-2-0.
I think Ronaldo's a good shout for Portugal as well. We know his nature. He's going to be greedy, take loads of shots. Yeah, take the penalties.
There could be a Diaz or Cancelo job there as well. I don't know if they picked up Bone. I don't think Cancelo has he? Has Diaz?
I don't think they've convinced me too much defensively either, to be honest, mate. But
no,
they have looked a bit open. They beat Uruguay 2-0, and then Cancelo got a clean sheet, and then they conceded 2 against Ghana. So no bonus for Cancelo. Diaz got passing tier 1 against Ghana, so I don't think you can rely on the Portuguese defenders for bonus, no.
No, maybe I'll steer clear of that and look towards maybe either one of the attacking players or into the Spanish game. There's a little shout there. I know that Shane White mentioned him yesterday. I think Shane's right up there, isn't he? Like, he was second at some point yesterday. Whether or not he's still in and around there is Hakimi.
Yeah, he's top of the... I'll show you some stats in a second, but he's top of the list for tackles bonus earned so far. And he's one of Morocco's best players. Obviously plays for PSG, I'm pretty sure, and I think he's given quite a bit of licence to go forwards. He's kept 2 clean sheets against Croatia and Belgium, tackles tier against Belgium, and then an assist and tackles tier against Canada. So he's, tackles galore, and a few clean sheets and attacking returns mixed in there as well.
You'd just be, I think, no disrespect, but at least in the planning, you'd be thinking he's potentially only one game. But again, this World Cup's thrown up quite a few curveballs, so you might end up having him longer. So I think he's a good shout. And if you're playing whoever they're facing, I can't remember. If a better opponent, better quality, then tackles could be on again, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Spain. So I see that one being close again, Tom. I really do.
I think that favours Spain defenders, though. I got to say. Laporte and Alba for me.
As you said, even if they concede and they get a 5-point, that's a 10-point captain. Laporte is also a good goal. Is actually a good goal threat, and you don't know what stage through the tournament something might crop up. And Alba's proved this quality already. So Yeah, I think there's some good options there in Spain. And their attackers are playing all right as well. So if you know who's going to play, then that could be a good shout as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, Morata's amongst the goals. He seems to not be missing sitters like he did during his time in the Premier League. He seems to be looking really good. So yeah, I can't really
Yeah.
rule out Morata either. Should we just have a quick look at some of the questions we've got in the chat as well, and then I'll look at some stats, and then we'll go through our Twitter questions. So, good man Rich Darley asks us, so he's got 2 transfers left today. He feels like he should take a punt, but he's not sure on who. Should he play it safe and go with Brazil defence? He says he's already got Ronaldo, but not sure if he's going to play.
He'll get to see the lineup with Portugal, so he'll have a concrete idea what's going to happen there. I mean, I would leave him anyway because he'll probably have players that he can take out, right? So
Yeah,
if
definitely.
Ronaldo comes on, whatever.
That's one of the
chat in. I was going to say the chat in our chat, Tom, is all around Gabriel Jesus, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Gabriel Jesus, I think the thing is with Brazil as well, their penalty taker for tonight. If you want to go on my Twitter and have a look at my latest tweet replies, I think I've tweeted to someone the predicted Brazil team. I can't remember the account that it came from, but yeah, it has Gabriel Jesus starting up front. The thing is with Brazil is their 2 penalty takers are Neymar and Richarlison, and neither of them are going to play or expected to play tonight, so it remains to be seen who that's going to be. I'd probably back it to be Jesus, which makes me think he's probably the best captain. But yeah, like you say, we'll see the Portugal team at 3 or at 2 o'clock when it gets announced, and then you can decide from there, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, what would you say if Ronaldo doesn't play? Who would you put as your captain? Would you go for one of the defenders that's predicted to play, or would you just go for Jesus? Do you think?
Yeah, it's just a risk, isn't it?
You can go Alisson, couldn't you? Or the goalkeeper, or you can't because it could be Edison.
Supposed to be played. Yeah, yeah, but then if there's quite a few changes, I'd probably be more inclined to go with Jesus for that reason that, we've seen teams that rotate a little bit are more likely to concede. Look at France, for example. So might just be towards Jesus and see what happens. But yeah, it's anyone's guess really, Tom, I think.
For the record, I've already bought Jesus and made him my captain just because I fancy the punt tonight.
So I'm waiting to see the Portugal team. So I've obviously got a sub left, so I'll transfer left. So I'll have a little look at half an hour's time, and see what that state of that Portugal team is. Thinking if Bruno plays, I might bring Bruno in, stick the armband on him. But there's some talk about yellow card and stuff, isn't there? So I'm not sure exactly how it works with the cards and that, but I'll get to see the lineup anyway, so it's totally irrelevant. If he doesn't play, then I'll probably look towards Jesus as well, Tom.
Cool. We got Ben McCrum in the chat. Hello, mate. Johnny White, Liam Dorian. Hello, Liam. Webby Webb asks us. He's got 1 transfer left to bring in today. He's only got Richarlison, and he's thinking of going Mitrovic, Ronaldo, or Bruno. To be honest, I know we mentioned Jesus, but if you see that Ronaldo or Bruno's playing, I think they're good captains. Likewise, Mitrovic as well. I think he's a decent captain. He went absolutely. Who did they play the last time round? I can't remember now. Was it Cameroon? No, it wasn't, was it? Who did they play?
Is it Korea? Are they in the same one as the Korea?
Yeah, it was.
No.
I think the last game that Serbia played was Cameroon. He had like 5 shots in the box against them. He looked really dangerous. He just didn't put them away. So I think Mitrovic is a good shout. Likewise, the Brazil players we mentioned. I don't think it's clear cut.
It was Cameroon, wasn't it? Korea's the other group. Yeah, he had so many chances. I think Liam captained him and got really, really unlucky there. And another day, Liam would have had like a 30-plus point captain return there. And so you definitely back him today for sure. I think he's a really nice outside shout as well, Mitrovic.
And the thing is with Serbia is they have to win their game to qualify basically, so they'll be going all guns blazing.
Yeah.
You were saying, mate? Sorry, I cut you off.
No. That's just said. Yeah, I think he's a good shout. I think all the players he mentioned are good. Are very good captain options for today if they're playing.
Let's see if we've got any other questions. Hello, FPL Spartans, FPL Sparta, Jamie Curry, Jim Pro 100 asks us, rank our top 3 Argentina assets for the knockouts. I think for me, it's probably Messi, Otamendi, and then Martinez, the keeper, just because they're going to play every game. Messi's on the penalties, Otamendi's good for passing, and Martinez gets more points than defenders for clean sheets. That would probably be my three.
Yeah, Otamendi and Messi definitely. I think you would have made a case for Di Maria pre kind of the three group games, but you can't really rule them out. I think McAllister's a nice outside shout as well if he's playing. And one of those midfielders, but like you said, Tom, it's difficult. So yeah, Martinez is probably because of that is in there as well as that third kind of pick.
Hi guys from Machinator. Hello Michael. Machinator asks, he's only got Marquinhos and Richarlison today, but 2 transfers to use. If Bruno Fernandes starts, he's going to punt on him, or Kudus, or Nunes, or a Brazil player. What would we do?
He's a really good shout. Look at that Ghanaian lad. Yeah, I really like that as an outside punt. He looks like a really good player. I think the links are flying around for the top European clubs for him already. So, yeah, that's very similar to what I'm going to do, mate. I'm looking at Bruno if he starts, but I really like that Ghanaian pick as well.
Jamie Curry, hello, mate. Probably already said hello to him. Just him asking for Machinator's rank. Yeah, I think that's it for our chat questions there. Feel free to keep chiming in the chat if you've got any more questions for us. I was just going to go on to some stats that I've pulled off of FF stuff, mate. So these aren't in a fancy template, I'm afraid, because they're literally in an Excel sheet. I dragged this off Fantasy Football Stuff, FF stuff. If you don't already know, it's literally the best companion, in my opinion, for playing Sky. It's got so much detail in terms of stats for each player. It's also got a match center where you can review every game that's happened in the World Cup, total passes, total tackles for each player, and you can watch the live count of passes and tackles as well. What I've done here is there's a simple table of players' data. You can download it as an Excel, and I've just filtered it. On the left, you see the players with the most bonus points for tackles, and then on the right, you see the players with the most points for passes. And what I've done is filtered out the teams that are already out where I can. I think there might be a few teams that are out of the competition that have still made it into this table. So bear with, but most of them are players that have made it through. So yeah, just a view of tackles in passes. I think a couple of key players that stick out for me. Kanate from France is up there for tackles and passing bonus. Chouameni from France as well. He's got good tackle stats as well as passing stats. And he's only 7.8 million, so I think Chouameni is a really good option.
Yeah, mate.
You seeing any other names in there?
John Stones, Maguire, Luke Shaw, all up there for passing. They're pretty solid for England. Tyler Adams, I know he's only in there. He's in there for the tackles. He's had a really good tournament, hasn't he? Just as a side thing, he's been really decent.
And he's only 7.3 as well as Tyler Adams. So if you back the USA to beat Netherlands, you get a couple of games out of him for 7.3 million. I think at that point you could pick a really expensive team around him, hope that he plays a couple of games, and just leave him and just not have him play, to be honest.
Hakimi, who I mentioned earlier, top of the tackles. I think he's a good shout, Tom. Again, if you're going with one from each team, then you're going to have to get rid of someone. But it's not the end of the world with 3 transfers each week, to be fair. Especially if you've already made your moves and you leave them then to the week after or whatever. I quite like that. Yeah, a little bit from Netherlands there, but I've not really been blown away from those guys at all, if I'm honest. Frankie de Jong's ticked over there with both tackles and passes. But I think that's going to be a tough game versus USA, and no guarantees they're going to go through. Laporte. In fact, quite a few Spain just in general, right, on that right-hand side. Pedri, Rodri, obviously.
Yeah, I just think they're going to be ludicrous for passing numbers, especially against Morocco as well. And like I said, whether you back them to keep a clean sheet or not, I don't know. But I think it's pretty much a guaranteed 5-pointer for anyone in that back line for Spain.
Yeah, I think the way you have to play this, though, on the short format is a bit different to that Premier League season. You have to, obviously, you want the maximisation of bonus, but you really want to go in with true belief that player you're picking is going to be a cleano as well. it's always nice to have a fullback, but we're not picking players here for 3 to 5 points, are we? We want explosive returns. Obviously, if they've got, that's what gives them that higher explosive threshold, isn't it? When they have multiple returns, but that clean sheet has to be the basis of which you build that side from, I think.
Fair enough. But yeah, anything else striking out to you on that list, mate? Or are you happy to have a look at some Twitter questions?
Yeah, go for it, Tom. Yeah, for sure. Move on.
Okay, bear with while I just load up the old Twitter. Apparently, Bruno is not starting today as well, according to
Okay.
Glenn Murray.
I mean, yeah, the rumours were floating around anyway on that one, wasn't it?
So fair question from Shane White. So he asked us, as you say, he's doing absolutely incredible in this game at the moment. So well done to you, Shane. He says, should extra time be included for clean sheets influence the number of defenders you pick, or will it not have much impact? So yeah, unlike other fantasy games, I don't play the official one, so I've got no idea how the rules for that work. But certainly Fan Team only counts, the full-time result. So after 90 minutes, you don't score any points, whereas in Sky, they're going all the way up to extra time finishing. So yeah, what do you think that means for you in terms of clean sheets and picking defenders?
You'd have to go back through like all the extra times that have been played, but there often isn't many goals, is there, in those extra time periods? And if you think about it, Tom, it kind of does lend itself potentially towards maximising five because, well, you know what I'm going to say, don't you? The potential then for passing bonus for the whole entire back line, given another 30 minutes. So if, Luke Shaw or whoever it is it 45 passes at the end of 90, you think he'd probably get 15 passes in the next 30 minutes regardless. So I think potentially, yeah, I would look towards, maybe more inclined to have those defensive players personally.
Yeah, I'd have
I
the
am
same.
1600 top, so, don't listen to me.
Yeah, I got the same opinion as you. I don't think it changes my thinking at all. I might be silly there, but I don't. I just stick with the same sort of tried and trusted Sky way that the big passing defenders seem to score the most points.
Yes, mate.
Tommy Smith, who would you say is the best/safest goalkeeper to have?
Going off the point earlier, I think Martinez is a great shout because we believe they're going to get through to at least the semis. I think there's a good call for Alisson there as well.
Yep, I'd agree. Let's see the rest of that bracket. Anyone else that's screaming out to me? Not really. I think Argentina and Brazil are the two teams we back to get to the semis, which means they play 2 extra games. So yeah, I think Martinez or Alisson for me too, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, my phone's just locked itself. Spartan's got a couple of questions for us. So over strategy for the round of 16, do we intend to attack days 1 and 2 more aggressively and use transfers for captaincy on days 3 and 4, or spread out the picks over the 4 days? And risk the fact that your players might play each other.
There's probably merit in both, mate. To be fair, I know that's not the answer he probably wants. I don't know what your thinking is there.
I haven't decided yet.
No.
I think both tactics could work for you. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I do. I think both could work. You just got to get the rub of the green, haven't you, with how it goes?
Definitely. Ian Parrin, final question from him. He says, what's the maximum number of players that you'll have from one country?
Initial thinking between 3 and 5.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have 5 Argentina players. I've got to be honest.
I'm not afraid to have 5 or 6. I'm not afraid to have, if I feel like I need 5, I want 5 for a certain reason, I'll do it.
I think that's the way we win the game, isn't it? Like you were saying, the way you gain rank is going big on a block defence or one team and back them to do really well. I agree with you.
Yeah, I remember, as Ian said, in for a penny, in for a pound. So, that's the way I'll sort of look at it, I think. Just go completely and utterly broke with it.
Cool. I think that does us for Twitter questions. We got a team announced or anything yet for these Portugal or whatever? Let's have a quick look, see if I can see anything on Twitter. No, I've not seen anything yet.
We'll find out at 15, won't we?
Yep, we'll find out soon enough. I don't have any more to go through there yet, mate. That's all I prepared for. I think we covered things nicely, as much as we can anyway on Friday. And yeah, apologies, we can't do a stream tomorrow. I think both of us are a little bit busy. Well, certainly I'm at sewing competition tomorrow morning, so yeah, unfortunately can't do a stream when we know all the results. So hopefully that helps you out regardless. And yeah, I think we've backed Brazil and Portugal to go through with our picks, and I think that's probably what's going to happen, isn't it?
Yes, mate, exactly.
Final question, sorry, from Ben. He says, who do you fancy in midfield apart from Tchouaméni?
I don't know yet, actually, if I'm honest. Sorry, Ben.
I like Enzo Fernandez from Argentina. I think
McAllister.
I think Enzo's definitely warranted a place in the team for his goals. He's only 7.4 million as well. So he got an assist in the last game against Poland as well as passing, and he started. So I think he's going to start against Australia, isn't he, after his performances? And yeah, he's 7.4 million. So I think you can't really say no to that. I've mentioned Tchouaméni already. I think that gives you two. Who else?
McAllister's obviously a good shout if he starts. Maybe even one of those sort of passing tackles magnets as well. I know we're saying after explosive returns, after I just said that earlier, but I think in that midfield, you've got a couple of options, haven't you? You go for a more explosive player or someone who might just get you 6 to 8 points and then look to fill around that. So that could be another shout. Yeah, I think there's probably a couple of England players in there, Tom, that could be a good shout as well. You're sort of Saka's and that sort of stuff.
I think Rashford's going to play the next England game, isn't he? I'll be surprised if he doesn't. So that suggests that he could get amongst the goals. Bruno's been playing really well this tournament as well from Portugal. Yeah, I know he's a bit more. He's really quite expensive, but I think he's that kind of punty player that'll do you well. So I quite like Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, mate, I think there's some good options there.
Okay, I think we'll leave it there because that's the end of all the questions. If you like what you saw, make sure to like the stream, like our video if you're watching it back, subscribe to the Golden Goal channel, and yeah, we'll try and get another one out before the quarterfinals if there is enough news to talk about and tell. I think if all the expected teams go through, I don't think we have much to talk about, to be honest, but I'm sure there'll be a few upsets.
Yeah, indeed there will be. Let's hope so.
All right, cheers for your time, mate, and thank you everyone for watching, and we'll catch you soon.
Cheers, guys.